Chris once again here with Braden. We're going to be doing something unique today. Today is a day of practice and training. You guys have seen us pull up cars onto the roll bed. We've towed them, but you've never seen us take down cars off a roll bed, specifically cars that are locked, basically in park. So this particular Audi is locked in park. There was a recovery, and wheels will not roll. It's in park. Now we can go out there and do the mechanical thing and try to take the the steering column and the little knob and then release the wheels, which you've done before. Or we can just simply drag it off the bed, and you can use skids. Or you can, of course, spend your time trying to figure out the complicated system on the Audi and release the parking brake, which we've done that as well. Not all. This particular Audi A4 2.0T, whatever, has a different locking mechanism, and so we're not going to mess with the internal components, especially if you have the doors that are locked. You can, obviously use your locking kit to get into the vehicle and then release that. It's a lot of time consuming, but to save time, we're going to skid this vehicle off this bed onto the floor, onto the ground. So as we get in our skids, you got to operate in an environment sometimes where it's dark, can't see very well. You got to always be on the lookout. Here's our skid. We got quite a few of these. You can see some of them are scraped up. But the idea is these are polyplastic carbonate or polyplastic whatever. I don't even know what the manufacturer is. But these guys go directly underneath the wheels, the tires. And they provide a skid pattern. Now, this vehicle is in nose forward on the bed, obviously. And so we're going to have to reposition the winch to make it work. We're going to have to use a snatch block over here and pull the vehicle in reverse this way off the bed. Once you get your skids in place, you got to have 4. You got to literally beat them underneath the tires, sometimes with a hammer. Then you're going to be ready to release the sometimes you got to take the straps off because the straps are holding pressure down. So why don't you start by taking the straps off first? Sometimes straps get really tight on there, especially if the vehicle sits for a long time and makes a lot of transfers on the road. And so you got to literally release those straps as best as you can. Use whatever you can to kind of stretch them back out so you can take them off their hook. When they are older straps, they kind of tend to bind up, and you got to make whatever means to get that buckle to release, and then take the strap off the tire. In this case, Braden used that skid to kind of, don't put your fingers, by the way, don't ever put your fingers in between the straps and the ratchet, because sometimes you can bust your fingers like I have done plenty of times. Use something like like the skid here, or use a tool of some sort to kind of pry on the strap as best as you can, so that way you don't get your hand messed up. I mean, a lot of people do whatever it takes to get the strap loose. In this case, that strap looks pretty loose, but let's see what the ratchet does. So he's taking that apart. Now, everybody has a different system to secure tires. Of course, the netting strap system is probably the best. In recoveries, you got to make certain that you secure your vehicle as best as you can. Now, in this case, we have all 4 tires strapped. Also, the front is strapped, secured by the winch. We also, I believe, had the rear tied down. So the vehicle is in park. So the vehicle is secure on the bed without concerns, without worries. These straps are designed to hold 3,300 pounds of pressure. So when you get 4 of those straps plus a winch, you're pretty secure. The vehicle's pretty secure. It's not going to roll. It's not going to slide, especially if it's in park. So now that we got the straps released, we're going to start using the skids. So the skids go directly underneath the tire. And the reason for the skids underneath the tire, now we're doing the skids in reverse, which is what we really want to do. Normally when we get it up on the bed, the skids are in the front of the tire. This is the rear of the vehicle. So now the problem begins is how do you get that skid underneath that whole tire? And so you got to get a hammer or another skid. What I normally do is I take a second skid and I smash this sucker as best I can without smashing my own fingers underneath that tire. Hammers, they're more plastic. Now you got, various options. I recommend the bigger hammer, the bigger thumpers, but these work just as well. Again, you just got to get that tire slightly off the platform, because as you're towing it or as you're winching it backwards, it will climb up onto that skid.
Another thing you could use is WD-40.
Yeah, that's true. WD-40 does work quite a bunch of miracles, believe it or not. So we got some WD-40 here in this toolbox. Hopefully there's some left. All right. So what do you do with the WD-40?
Spray it under and on top of the
skid?
skid.
Yeah, so the tire itself will skid better if it's lubricated, and also the skid will lubricate better as well. Good. It's lifted the tire completely off the ground and it's sitting on the skid. And as you winch it backwards, this tire is going to move closer to here, and that will allow the whole vehicle to skid backwards. Now, you're getting some here, pause for a second. Some places where you got a bigger size vehicle and you got a lot of 5,000-6,000 pounds of a bigger dually or whatever, you can always use a jack and lift up a little bit up here, obviously hook up the jack in the right place, but lift up the car and then get a little of that force off the tire and then still put your skids underneath there. So you can use a jack to lift it up. The idea is to make this car as least drag as possible by creating a skid system on all four wheels when you're winching it backwards. So let's continue. By the way, you see how easier the WD-40 helps it? Yeah. Look at that. That's awesome. That's perfect. So that actually, you're right where you need to be. Okay, let's do the last one. Now that we're releasing the winch, Braden's actually prepping the winch cable so that way it goes all the way back to the rear of the vehicle and back forward again. So to manually do this, because we don't use on this truck a remote, you got to literally pull out the winch all the way back, then hook it back there and then bring it all the way back forward. I always use 3 points of contact when you come down. So now you're wondering, how do you get the winch cable underneath the vehicle? Well, we use our J-hook, we feed it over underneath, we hook the winch cable, and then we kind of fish it underneath the front axle, and then we just dangle the cable for now, and Braden is going to pull on the J-hook. Hopefully that winch cable stays put, and then he basically is trying to feed it backwards underneath the axle, the front axle, and then obviously he extended it, so that's going to get tangled up and then he's going to feed it continuously all the way to the back, axle, using the same principle with the J-hook. Basically trying to get that winch cable directly underneath the vehicle. So here's the J-hook that he's there you go. So now he's got the winch cable basically on the back of the vehicle. He's gonna have to do something interesting here and make it go back the other way. What we're actually doing with the J-hook, I think you're probably wondering, well, we're using it as a snatch block. We don't have a snatch block. With snatch block was put away, so we're using J-hook, and we WD-40 that, and we're going to be pulling this using the J-hook as a snatch block backwards. The J-hook, believe it or not, it's going to hold the weight. The question is, you got to watch the J-hook so it doesn't release and it stays in position and it's tight. And you also got to watch the vehicle itself, and then the winch itself needs to be, as you can see, it's tightened up right now, and the vehicle is being engaged. It's going to be tightening it and pulling it backwards, and that's exactly what we want. So here we go.
0, 1, 2, 3. Let's get started.
Oh, that's real good.
Well, the next procedure is now to tilt the bed, and then we're going to use what's called wheel dollies. Wheel dollies. Once the vehicle is tilted. So now the vehicle is in position. The only thing holding the vehicle now is essentially the tires gripping the platform, and so we're going to cautiously and carefully lower the bed. So you guys watch us winch this thing backwards, back and forth. We use the sliders there, the little platform sliders, to get it down. Now we're about to get it down off the front, and we're using these wheel dollies for the front, and then obviously chalk blocks to get it down properly. So that's how you do it. That's how you get a vehicle off the roll bed. Sometimes you got to think outside of the box. You don't want to touch the front bumper. You want to try to position and maneuver so that way the vehicle gets safely down without scraping, scratching, or damaging it any further. Regardless, this is a recovery, but we still want to maintain the integrity of the vehicle. So at this point, we got it down off the platform, almost to the position where it needs to be. We're going to use these dollies for the front, and then we're going to slide the bed off and put it in position here and let it sit here for the customer. We got it down. We got her up on chalk blocks. The vehicle is ready to be lowered, and generally, because of the trim and the additional suspension issues with the tire being flat, you want to use a jack to lower it down, remove the chalk blocks from underneath it. The jack was used and the chalk blocks were removed. The vehicle was placed in position and left there, ready for the customer or the company's purpose. Thank you for watching.